Welcome to the training. It's Matt Selhorst, your host with Boat Dealer Profits. Today we're talking a better way to speed your turn times and increase margins in the COVID era without adding staff or increasing your marketing budget. So this training for you is if you're a busy dealership owner, a general manager or sales manager, and you're not 100% satisfied with your major unit sales and your profits. Even with the COVID boom we've just had, you're seriously driven to increase the quantity of prospects who are more pre-qualified, pre-positioned, and less price-sensitive that talk to your salespeople, and you're open to new and innovative ideas. So if you don't know me, my name is Matt Selhorst. I've been in the industry for over a decade. My first book, Boat Dealer Profits, my most recent book, Boat Dealer Profits, how the splash system can help you sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. My first book, Marine Marketing Strategies, came out about probably 7 years ago. I'm also the sales and marketing columnist at Boating Industry Magazine for the past 3+ years. You may have seen my columns there, seen me featured in Soundings Trade Only. I was awarded in the Bold Move section of the Movers and Shakers edition several years ago. Been a speaker at dealer meetings, Marine Dealer Conference and Expo multiple times, or you may have seen me in a number of different places. But I've been in the industry. I specialize just working with boat dealers, boat manufacturers in the marine industry. And what we do is we help dealers sell more boats at higher margins without adding extra money on wasted marketing or adding a bunch of extra staff. So that's how we help out. And I want to talk about kind of the lay of the land right now, where the retail world is. It's gone through a lot of change. If you see in the top row, that's kind of what the standard has been. So you had your retail shops, you had your grocery stores, you had your auto dealerships. And now in the last handful of years, we've seen some dramatic changes, not in just the options that are available out there, but actually consumer adoptions. So you're seeing Amazon and the internet, just retail purchasing, really wiping out the brick and mortar retail stores. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. You're seeing consumers that used to go into the grocery store, you're seeing a portion of them actually do their shopping online on an app. And it was inconceivable just a few years ago that somebody would buy their meat or their produce or just their groceries in general without being face to face and seeing them and picking them out. And now people are paying a premium, a yearly membership for online groceries that are either delivered to their home or you pick them up at the checkout line. And just in the drive-through. It's something that was unthinkable just a couple of years ago and now is becoming more mainstream. Same thing with auto dealerships, a little closer to home for us retail boat dealers. It used to be you had to go into the dealership, spend the time, go through the process, and walk out with your car. Now companies like Carvana and even some of the online shopping tools like TrueCar, the Auto Trader, there's a number of other ones that are out there. A friend of mine recently bought his new car. It was a year-old factory, or it was a certified used car is what I'm looking for, through Carvana. He did all his shopping online, made the decision, this is what I want, this is the color. They shipped it to him, brought a truck to his front door of his house, dropped it off, let him run it for 7 days, no risk, full return, money back guarantee. He loved the car, he loved the process, and more people are using this type of service to make major purchases. I'm talking $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 purchases, and they're doing this all online. So the landscape is changing, and then you throw COVID into the mix, and you see this is the retail sales compared to online e-commerce sales since 2000. So in 2000, less than 1% of retail sales was done online. You've had this nice steady decline to 2020, then COVID hits. In 2020, you're about 12%. COVID hits and it jumps up to 16% with people on lockdown, not being able to get out. more and more people are buying more and more things and higher ticket items online and not going into a brick and mortar store. These numbers include grocery, gas, and auto dealer sales. So 16% of retail sales was done through e-commerce. It's an amazing trend, and I expect that to continue to increase, especially as more and more people got used to the concept during this COVID lockdown that's going on. So a little bit closer to home, let's talk auto dealerships, because this is the best numbers I could find for big ticket purchasing that's relevant to the boating industry. In 2010, the average shopper visited over 5 dealerships before making their buying decision. They spent a little bit less than 50% of their time shopping online, doing their research online. In 2019, that average number of dealership visit was 2.3, with 41% of buyers visiting just a single dealership. That blew me away when I saw these numbers. And 67% of the time was spent shopping online. So that only leaves 33% that's done in the dealership, face-to-face, where a salesperson can have an impact, and they've already done a majority of their shopping and searching online. And so that salesperson has a harder and harder time to get over any preconceived notions, to get over any wrong information, inaccurate, incomplete information, making it harder and harder for the salesperson to make a higher margin boat sales. And you're seeing margins in the auto industry just tank because of these trends. Now, if you've been reading my boating industry articles, heard me speak at a different event, you may have seen this educational spectrum of a boat buyer. If not, Google it. Go to boatingindustry.com and check it out, and you'll find a bunch of information. I talk a lot about it, but it's the process that the consumer goes to from first getting the idea, hey honey, maybe we should buy a boat, to researching, evaluating, and becoming a now buyer, and money finally changing hands. So when we lay over this online versus face-to-face shopping, you see there's kind of a continuum that we're not exactly sure what the numbers are, but this is sort of the trend that we're seeing. In 2000, that online shopping was a small portion. The face-to-face shopping, you had a much bigger impact with your face-to-face salespeople. Hit 2010, an online shopping, this is when I was actually selling in the dealership environment, and virtually everybody that you talked to had been online, but you had a good bit of influence in that face-to-face shopping period. As we hit 2020, 10 years later, this online shopping has becoming a bigger portion of the overall buying process, and that face-to-face shopping is much, much smaller. Now, some people will throw out numbers, 80% online, 20% face-to-face. You get 67% that I showed from Edmunds and Cox Automotive. All of these numbers, they're going more and more online and less face-to-face, which means that the traditional way of selling, it doesn't work as well because you have less face-to-face time. This is what today's boat shopper looks like. They're sitting at their home, on the chaise lounge, at the pool, on their recliner, sitting in the office, typing on their laptop, sitting on the couch with their tablet, or even on their smartphone, doing their business and searching for boats and doing their boating research. This is what the consumer looks like, and it's vastly different from just 5 or 10 years ago. So my question is, what's the implications? The implications that our consumers' buying habits, their shopping patterns, are significantly changing. So here's what I see happening is those consumers that could, would, and maybe even should buy a boat that you offer, they're not even walking into your dealership. They're not even engaging with your salespeople. They're not seeing the brands that you offer face-to-face, touching it, boarding it, being able to experience it, getting out in the demo. They're not getting those experiences, and really, they're just not getting a chance to give you money, to buy from you. And when they do get that opportunity, they've done their shopping, they've got their value decision made up from the information they found online, from their Facebook groups, their research on YouTube, they're looking at your website, your manufacturer's website, what other people in the market have to say, and that's how they're making their value decision. So you may even see your margins dropping over the last 10, 15, 20 years because of this as well. And here's what's concerning, is we've seen this pattern before, right? Look at this mom and pop hardware store. I challenge you to go out and find a mom and pop hardware store in your area. You know, we've got a True Value and Ace Hardware that's here local, and I'm shocked every time that I go in there. You know, there's fewer and fewer people. I love the service, but that service, that one-on-one relationship that we value so much in the boating industry, that knowledge that they have, that expertise, that friendly service, not like going to Home Depot or Lowe's where it might be a little bit cheaper. It's a different experience, but these stores are closing. And it's not just the mom and pops. You know, you're seeing it with all over the place. The bigger retailers, Sears, Kmart, Toys R Us, Payless Shoe Stores, Sports Authority, Dick's Sporting Goods, Bed Bath & Beyond, Pier 1, Gap, Chico's. All of these stores are closing in record numbers, going bankrupt, having liquidation sales. And it's all because consumers are changing their buying habits. They're buying more and more online. They're doing more and more of their research online, driving prices down because of that research. And it's having a major, major impact on the way things are sold. So here's my question to you. How has your sales and your marketing changed since just 2010? So just 10 years ago, how has your marketing and your sales changed? Have you trained your salespeople to handle this different consumer behavior? Have you trained your salespeople how to handle email, to use chat, to use text message, to use video, to use some of the tools and technology that are out there? Have you adjusted your marketing? Have you adjusted your website? Not just redesigning it, but I'm talking about overall how your website is used, the pieces that you have on your website since 2010. It's an interesting question because I've been watching the marketplace, well, really since I was a kid. I've been involved in the boating industry from a consumer standpoint, going to boat shows, looking at websites, checking out Boat Trader, even when it was the magazine way back in the day. Have you really changed fundamentally how you sell boats? Because the consumers have changed for sure. So at this point, I'm going to just give you a little warning. If you're not interested in learning new ways, in hearing different ideas, and maybe saying, hey, maybe we need to make some adjustments. If you're not open to those ideas, it's best probably to just close this video down right now. The next 10, 15, 20 minutes is not going to be of value to you. But if you are open to those ideas, if you are interested and you're serious about long-term success, because this trend is only going to continue. You've seen that graph, retail sales on e-commerce is going up, and then we had the hockey stick in 2020 with COVID. It's only going to get more pronounced and more dramatic, and it is going to hit the boating industry, and there are going to be major innovations. We're already seeing a lot of consolidation, a lot of private equity money coming in. MarineMax, OneWater, there's several other groups that are buying up dealerships and consolidating. Same thing on the manufacturer side. So the industry is starting to change, and addressing the consumer the way they want to be addressed is going to be very important. So the way I look at it, there's 5 key areas that you need to make some changes because of the new consumer mindset, the way things are working. It's mindset, message, tools, systems, skills, and then the systems that kind of put it all together. So let's start with the mindset. I love this phrase. The most dangerous phrase in the English language is, we've always done it this way. I love this sign because you see it in industries, you see it in companies that are going the wrong direction. We've always done it this way, not looking for innovation, not looking for change, not looking for a better way, and a better way to support the consumer, a better way to service your clients, a better way to do your sales process, for marketing, a better way for anything in your dealership. The way things improve is by making adjustments, by tweaking things, by looking for a better way. And that's why I'm so glad that you're on this webinar, because if you're watching this video, you're likely okay with doing things a different way. The second is messaging. Now, when I do my speaking at dealer meetings, I did this last 2 Julys ago. 4th of July, I was fortunate to be invited to Germany to speak at a dealer meeting. Spoke to about 400 people, about 140 or so dealers from all over the world. So Australia, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, Spain, France, Germany, Portugal, Hungary, U.S. and Canada, South America, Japan, China. We had people from all over. Not everybody spoke great English, but we had a great time. I delivered 2 sessions. In one of the sessions, and I do this usually when I speak, I hold up a dollar bill and a $100 bill. And everybody gets the American money, right? So I asked the question, which of these pieces of paper would you like to have? Of course, somebody in the front row raised their hand and said, I want the $100 bill. And I ask you why. Why did this guy, who I don't remember where he was from for sure, but he may have been from France, why did he choose the $100 bill? It's written on the same pieces of paper. They're both written with essentially the same ink, produced in the same facility, backed by the same government. But there's one single reason why every time I do this, they choose the $100 bill. And that's because it has a $100 message. So I encourage you, as you're looking at how the consumers have changed, think about how you need to change your messaging. What's the messaging on your website? What kind of messages are your salespeople sending out in their emails, in their text messages? What kind of messaging are you using in your video? And if you're not using video, we'll talk about that. What kind of messages do you have in your descriptions of your boat listings? It can be a $1 message, or it can be a $100 message. The $100 message is much, much more valuable, much more persuasive. And in an environment where the consumers aren't coming into your dealership and can't get the message spoken out of your salespeople's mouths, that message should be a $100 message as well. But if you're not getting that $100 message out to those consumers, even if they don't walk into your dealership, you're missing an opportunity. Now, when I do these speaking events, I give them the $100 bill. Unfortunately, because we're online, you don't get the $100 bill, but you get something much more valuable, which is this insight, this change in your mindset, and this focus to look at the messages that you put out to your consumers in your marketplace and ask yourself, is it a $1 message, or is it a $100 message, or is it somewhere in between? And how can we push it to be more and more of a $100 message? That is the key. The next area I want to talk about are tools. Now, sales tools, I believe there's 5 main sales tools that you need. And here's the key thing about tools. You can see this is me. I did mulch at our house several years ago, 2 houses ago now. I put mulch down, and we had a truck deliver, I think it was like 10 yards of mulch. And I thought to myself, hey, listen, I could do a wheelbarrow and a shovel. I've already got those things. And I could move this mulch all around our property, and I could make it look nice. But what I decided to do was to invest a little bit of money and a little bit of learning. I'd never run one of these little dingoes before. And I rented this for a couple $100 for a weekend. And I learned this new skill. And now I was able to do what would have been back-breaking work that would take hours and hours and probably the whole weekend. I was able to knock out this work in just a couple of hours because I had invested in this tool. And that's exactly what you need in today's environment. You need 5 key tools to help your salesperson, 1, get more opportunities, 2, make the opportunities more pre-qualified, pre-positioned, and less price sensitive, and 3, make their sales jobs easier. I'll talk about how this works as it relates to a football field in just a little bit. But these sales tools are something that dealers overlook all of the time because they're so busy, getting through the busy selling season, then getting boats put away and ready for the off season, getting them wrapped and winterized and stored. And then, you take a little break and you rest a little bit when there's snow on the ground or when things are quieter. If you're down south, and then boat show season starts, you start getting ready for boat show. You've got new trucks coming in with all your new inventory that's happening. You're getting those boats rigged, ready, so that you're ready for the boat show. You start the boat show, you start selling, you start taking some orders, and boom, you're right back in the busy season again. And you had no time to stop and to build any tools. And for most dealers, the thought of sales tools, they're not really sure what that means. They're not sure what tools to build. They get this information from Dealer Week and from Elevate Summit, from their 20 groups maybe, and from other dealers around the country, around the world. But this concept of having a sales tool doesn't really hit home. So we've got 5 tools that we offer our clients, and we give them done-for-you templates that we help them customize to fit their dealership. And if you don't have those 5, we'll talk about them in just a little bit. It's something that you're missing sales opportunities, and you're likely having a harder time holding margin than what you should. And with these new tools, with this new messaging, $100 messages, there comes some new skills with the way these new consumers prefer to buy, prefer to do their shopping online. Well, if they're not coming face to face as early in the process or as often, then the skill set you need isn't so much the skill set of selling face-to-face, nose-to-nose, toes-to-toes, the negotiation skills, the price presentation skills, the questioning and rapport building skills. Those are still there. Those are still necessary, and they need to be honed and sharp as an axe. But there's also a new set of skills, taking consumers from a lead to get them into the dealership. There's a new set of skills, taking somebody that's an online shopper and getting them to show themselves and becoming a lead, becoming a known opportunity. Instead of an invisible prospect, becoming a visible prospect. And that's a whole new skill. So these skills are ones that you don't find in the traditional sales training that's out there. There's several really good, solid sales training in the auto industry. There's a couple in the boating industry that are pretty good, but they don't focus on this new consumer. They mainly focus on that, hey, we've got you in the dealership, face-to-face, nose-to-nose, toes-to-toes. But with the way the consumer's changing, there's other skills that need to be added to the skill set of your salesperson. There's other skill sets that need to be added to your marketing staff as well. Social media, video marketing, messaging online, lead capture, even some more technical pieces, integrating all this into your CRM system and using some of the new tools there. All of that leads to, if you're not focused on this new consumer, you're missing opportunity for more high margin boat sales. And then putting it all together in a system, because you may say, wow, Matt, this seems complicated. New messaging, new tools, new sales skills, new consumers. That seems like a lot, and we're already wearing 17 different hats. We're basically understaffed, keeping up with the volume right now. How do we do this without spending more money on marketing and adding staff? And here's the key, is it's putting them into a system. Now you may say, what does coffee have to do with the system? But let me explain the system of making coffee. Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to get the beans and grind them up, get the right amount, put it into the coffee filter, put that coffee filter into the machine, plug the machine in, turn it on, pour the water in, hit the start button, and 10, 20 minutes later, you got a fresh, hot cup of delicious coffee. Now that's the coffee making system. But here's what's interesting. It's a very simple system. I could teach virtually anybody. I could teach my 6-year-old daughter to do it, no problem. But here's the thing, is if you get just one of those things wrong, you can have bad coffee. Let's say you forget to put it in the filter and you just pour the coffee grounds right into the little container. You do everything else in the right order. What happens? You don't have hot, delicious coffee. You've got a coffee grind soup. That's disgusting. Or even worse, you do everything in the right order, you put it all together, but you forget to hit that on button. Probably you've done this before, right? You forgot to set the coffee alarm on to go when you wake up in the morning, or you forgot to plug it in. You did everything else right, but no coffee. It's a simple system, and it's easy to get right, but you have to follow each step. The way that you put all this together is you put the messaging, you put the new skills, you put the tools, you put the new mindset together, all wrapped up into a system of selling boats in this COVID era, post-COVID era, which will hopefully be soon, but this new consumer mentality and this better way to sell boats, that it's not going to change everything. You're not going to be like, next thing you know, you've got a boat sales vending machine sitting out and you fire all your sales staff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about making some major changes in a couple of little important areas of your dealership, and doing that in a systematic way that's then repeatable as different staff come and go. As you continue to grow, and maybe you've grown to a point where now we do need to add staff because our volume has hit such a level, but because it's systematized, you can add more output with the same level of resources you have now, because you spent some time on the tools. You spent some time on developing $100 messages. You spent some time on the mindset. You spent some time developing these new skills, and you put them all together in a system so you're very efficient, and it just repeats over and over and over, and you use technology where it makes sense, not just technology for technology's sake. And now you put it together and you've got a dramatically different approach to selling boats than what you did 10 years ago. And now guess what happens? Your margins go up. Your major unit volume goes up. You're doing more repeat and referral business because you've got this different way and consumers are talking, and you get to be the go-to dealership in your market area. And the brands that you have, although important, not as important. And now you're sought after, and you've changed your brand in the community, not by doing brand building marketing, but because you've got an entire system and you've looked at it as a whole. So I talked about the football analogy. One of the things that happens is when you put a system like this in place and you make that adjustment in mindset, you make the improvements in your marketing, and you get more $100 marketing message in your dealership. You put the right sales tools in place. You develop them and you put them into the new skills that your staff has, the new tools that you've developed for your sales team, and you put them in a system. Instead of starting on the 25-yard line in a football game and you have to go 75 yards for the score, what happens is now you start in the red zone. You start on the 20 and you only have to go 20 yards to the score for a high margin boat sales. That's the value of investing in something like this for your dealership. Now, here's the scary thing. If you choose to ignore it, like the hardware stores, like all of the brick and mortar retailers that are going out of business right now that ignored the internet, some of them made some major mistakes partnering with Amazon to be their fulfillment center. And what did Amazon do? They said, oh, that's interesting. They're selling a lot of this stuff. Let's start building a relationship where we can sell it direct, and now we just cut them out. That's what happened to Toys R Us, right? If you don't make changes to your dealership now, maybe there's no opportunity, because they come to your dealership's website, they look for you online, they're doing all their research online, and they never walk into your front door. They never submit a lead. You never know they're shopping. That's the scariest part, is all of this can happen and you have no idea that you're missing out on opportunity. Now, maybe you feel it in your gut that, gosh, it seems like we should be doing better. And here's what's even worse for the industry, is because all this shopping is going online and they're researching online, some of these consumers are getting overwhelmed and saying, oh, this is too confusing. I'm just not going to buy a boat. I'm going to get an RV. I'm going to go on a vacation. I'm going to buy a second home. I'm going to go to Disney. But what happens is when you don't even get the opportunity, you're not even aware that you're missing out on that revenue, on that sale, on that profit, and your dealership suffers. And that's something that I don't want to have happen. So it's time for some answers, right? Be like, okay, Matt, this seems interesting. It seems like you might have an idea here, but what's the answer? How do we address this all? Well, before we get to that, I'll show you. It's the Splash system, and it focuses on lead generation, the 24/7 boat selling machine, a sales framework, and engaging the prospect to drive them to face-to-face appointments with your sales staff, giving a wow delivery, and then having a relationship selling machine for your parts, service, accessories, repeat referral business, and to maximize the lifetime value. But before we get to that, I want to show you just a handful of customers that we've worked with in the past so you can get a sense for what this is all about.
We started with that about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We followed his steps as best we could, and we've already sold boats that we probably would not have seen the people here. So far it's been easy, but also very useful. So
she's being modest. She has like 4 other projects going on. And
it's what I like to call a dealership in a box. You open it up and wow, there's everything you need to identify who you are, to put your processes in place, to get your message out and do it in an effective way.
Yeah,
so I love that.
I love that term. I may start using that in my marketing. This is a dealership in a box. Yeah, exactly. I borrow it from you.
It really is. I'm so excited.
To pay a guy to go sit and listen is one thing, but to pay a guy and you come home with something that leads to something else, and something else in almost a 2-year relationship, that's of value. So I mean, ultimately, I wouldn't say you've totally revolutionized the way we've sold, but you've changed 70% of it.
Okay, good.
I can tell you margins are up.
I was just going to say
margins are up.
That's one of the big beliefs that I think you and I click with, is that you want to hit the volume numbers and you want to have that, and there's times a year that getting units out the door is most important as the end of the season rolls around, but holding margin on the product you should hold margin is one of the best ways to make your dealership more enjoyable, more profitable, and ultimately deliver a better service to your clients.
And more secure for everybody that works.
Well, yeah, exactly.
We did an awesome job with our customers up front, but it was like a massive spaghetti strainer with big holes in it, and things were just running through. We weren't capturing those people the way we should have. We weren't keeping in contact with them, and Matt's system is far superior to anything that I've seen anywhere else to be able to keep your customers engaged.
Perfect.
We are selling. That's the thing right now, is we're selling. I'm going to tell you right now that I have a feeling we're selling because of your program as well, with some of the things that we've put in place. But your program is freaking awesome, Matt. It's so awesome. Like I'm downloading everything I can to pull out of the system. So when you shut it off, I still have it all.
I'm recording this. So I'm gonna pull that little snippet out. I think, like, your program
by all
is
means,
freaking awesome.
It is. Yeah, you can use all that
Thank you.
stuff. You have my full permission to do whatever you need. It's a program that works. And as long as you stick to the plan and the process, it really does work. They said there are no trainers out there that offer this kind of program that I have seen that actually give you all the tools to do your job They always tell you what to do. They tell you how to do it, but they never give it to you and say, at least here's something to follow. Make it your own. And you've given us everything we need. To be honest, the initial call, when we listened to that hour is so valuable. And then all of the modules after that just seem to pull it all together. Everything you give us, seriously, Matt, I just can't, it's more than what I expected out of the program.
Awesome.
You can
Well,
use that
awesome.
too.
Hey, share if you would.
So that was just a few of the folks that I've worked with over the years. And I think it's important that you hear it from them, because obviously at this point, if you see that there's an opportunity and you're like, man, we really need to capitalize on this, I want you, of course I'm going to say we're great. It's the same thing about your dealership. You say you're the best dealer in your market area, but it's really what your customers say about you that matters. And I'm fortunate to have a bunch of great clients that I've worked with over the years. So this is for you if you're friendly, if you're coachable, and important. This is important if you run an honest and ethical dealership. If you have over 2.5 million in major unit sales and you want to grow, you're not happy with where you are in your marketplace and you want more market share and you want to grow your business, you don't sell solely on price, or at least you want to stop selling on price if that's a sticking point for you. And you must tweak the way you sell boats in 2021 and beyond. You must want to make that adjustment and say, you know what, you're right, there's opportunity and we're going to do something about it. And you're serious and you're committed to long-term success and profits. Now I say long-term because everything that we do together is going to have an impact on your 2020 results, or your 2021 results, but it's also going to have an impact on the next year and the next year and the next year. And if you're like most of the clients we work with, we continue to work with for a longer period of time on various kind of based on what's most important for them. So I'm going to introduce to you the updated Splash system by Boat Dealer Profits. Now this is the kind of the rough high level of the Splash system. You can see we're going to focus a little bit on some branding, on some social media, some basic marketing and advertising. We're also going to add what I call doors into the dealership, way for people to engage with your dealership besides just walking through your front door. So we're going to open some doors in the online world to get your phone to ring, to get walk-ins, to get lead opportunities with some different educational marketing, social media ads, videos with calls to action. And then we're going to put the 24/7 boat selling machine in place. Now, you already have a couple pieces of this in place. You have your salesperson. You've got their manual calls and their manual emails. Maybe you do some events. Maybe you do some newsletters. But we're going to put some gasoline on that fire, and we're going to turn it into a real machine with relationship easings, boat previews, personalized autoresponders. So we're going to make things feel personal, but we're actually going to automate them. We're going to do social proof. We're going to do some offers, a super signature, easy videos, a shock and awe package, retargeting, remarketing, direct mail, potentially postcards, and value building communication. Those are those sales tools, and there's 5 main sales tools that are going to be in that 24/7 boat selling machine that are, like Will said, they didn't revolutionize the dealership, but they changed about 70%. And that's what you're going to experience. Not change everything. It's going to be recognizable when you're done that, yes, this is still our sales process, but what's going to happen is the actual details of it all are going to be vastly changed. And everything we're going to do is not designed to sell a boat, but everything in that 24/7 boat selling machine is designed to drive communication to the salesperson, whether it's email, phone call, but preferably get them face-to-face, nose-to-nose, toes-to-toes, so that the skill that your salespeople are already best at is going to get utilized. And then we're going to also deliver some sales training for the salesperson so that they're even better with that face-to-face, nose-to-nose aspect with the Splash Sales Framework. And we're going to train them on some of those new skills they need so that they're able to take advantage of the way today's consumer wants to communicate. Just like you would never hire a salesperson that isn't willing to pick up a telephone. Well, your salespeople have more tools that they need to use than just a telephone, and we'll talk about that on the next phase. The next thing is the wow delivery. Hey, there's a couple simple things you can do to really elevate your stature in the mind of your consumers at that delivery standpoint. Once you do that, you've set yourself up for that relationship selling machine to maximize the lifetime value with repeat and referral business, parts and accessory, any other revenue stream that you have at your dealership. And we do that with, as you can see, the $100 messaging, efficient systems, proven strategies. This has been proven, by dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of dealers in the U.S., in Canada. As I said, I spoke in Germany, and this is being used overseas as well. Canning and cloning is a key process, and then coaching and training from somebody that has done this before with boat dealerships just like you. So it's that overarching strategy and framework with those value-building online sales tools. There's 5 of them. Quality lead generation. We're going to fill the holes where you're missing opportunities. You're missing leads coming in. And there's not a website I look at, there's not a dealership I look at online that isn't missing some opportunity. The 24 boat selling machine, simple and powerful. The sales framework, it's easy to implement. It includes 2 necessary price presentations. Did you know that there's 2 price presentations that you have to use to maximize the margin on your sale? And then how to ask for the sale. This is a big one that can have an instant impact on your dealership. Whether it's the salesperson that doesn't ask for the sale because they don't know how, they're too timid, they're too friendly, they're too nice, they don't want to ruin the relationship they built. They do everything else right, but they don't know how to ask for the sale. Or maybe they're just asking for the sale the wrong way, and that's leading to lower margins because they're focusing on price. And then finally, maximizing the lifetime value of the client, because the salesperson sells the first boat, and what you do after that sells the next boat, gets more repeat and referral business, and also drives business to your service department, parts and accessories, your ship store, all of the other revenue streams that you have. This is all covered within that Splash system training, and it's really not even just training. The Splash system that will be then implemented, as Will said, you actually walk away with something done. Todd said it as well, that it's not just show you, hey, here's what to do, here's how to do it. It's here's what to do, here's how to do it, and here you go. Let's just adjust it maybe together. So if you're curious about, are you a good fit? Is this something that may be a good investment for your dealership? Just go to boatdealerprofits.com/yes. There's going to be a short little form there. You can fill that out, and you'll actually be taken to a calendar. You'll be taken to my calendar where we'll get on the phone and have a conversation about your dealership, the opportunities you see, what's going on in your marketplace, the uniqueness of your business, and then we'll determine, hey, does it make sense for us to look at this Splash system? Is this a solution that can get you where you want to go? And you'll be invited to take the next step. Or, hey, you're not a dealer that I'm going to be able to help because of whatever you have going on. And if that's the case, hey, we've had a nice, valuable conversation. We part as friends. No big deal. And the other reason I do that is because I have my Matt's $50,000 in additional profits guarantee. With our Splash system, when we work together, I do guarantee that you're going to get the results. I think it's on me to take the risk of this working for your dealership. Now, you may wonder, well, how can you offer a $50,000 guarantee, a full money-back guarantee? How are you able to offer that? Well, the answer is obvious. I'm really, really good at this. I've done this over and over and over and over with big dealers, small dealers, dealers on the water, dealers off the water, wake dealers, pontoon dealers, center console dealers, aluminum fishing boat dealers. I've done it with everybody, and I'm that confident. And I know that if we have the conversation and if I agree to take you on as a client, that you're going to have an outstanding result. And you're going to be very happy with how things turn out. So I appreciate you talking. I appreciate you listening. And I really look forward to speak with you. Just go to that boatdealerprofits.com/yes. Fill out that quick form. It'll take you maybe a minute or two, and it'll schedule a call for us. And we'll get on the phone, have a nice conversation, and see if it makes sense. Now, you may wonder, hey, before I waste time getting on the phone with you, how much is this all going to cost? Well, I can tell you that on the top end, if we work together for multiple years and we get heavily involved, you're going to invest maybe over $50,000. Now, the only reason that you would do that, like Will said, is we've had a 2-year relationship. The only reason you would continue working with me is because you're getting a huge ROI, and that's why most of my clients, we continue to work together. Now, what I'll tell you is that most people don't invest 50 grand out of the box. There's different opportunities based on the different dealerships. The way I think it's going to make the most sense to fit into your budget and give you the best return on investment, because that's really what it's about, right? It's not about how much money that it costs. It's about what's the return. Now, I look at it as, if you're taking a trade-in, would you take a $25,000 trade-in knowing that you're going to be able to sell it for 40? Well, of course you would. You just made 15 grand. That's your business. Well, I look at this the same thing. Are you willing to invest 25,000 knowing that it's going to make you an additional 50? Are you willing to invest 10,000 knowing that it's going to make you an additional 50? For most dealers, it's a no-brainer. If I think that we can help you or know we can help you, and I'm willing to put that guarantee on the line, it's a no-brainer for most dealers that are serious about their success and are coachable, are friendly, or all the other things that we've talked about. So I encourage you, go to boatdealerprofits.com/yes. It'll take you to that page. It'll get you on my calendar. We'll have a nice conversation, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I'll answer all of your questions and give you an opportunity, if it makes sense, to join the program. If nothing else, like I said, it'll be a valuable conversation. Maybe it won't be right for you this year. Maybe it'll be right for you next year. But whatever the conversation is, we'll go off as next steps. You'll receive value, and now we know each other. So we see each other at the next in-person event, whenever that may be. We can have a conversation, maybe even grab a beer. So thanks for listening. BoatDealerProfits.com/yes, and we'll talk to you soon.